Okay, so when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, we'll start there. According to ESPN reports, this dropping just not too long ago, the Knicks are signing guard R.J. Barrett to a 4-year rookie extension worth up to $120 million. Channing, you had something to say about that in general, but how does that affect the pursuit of Donovan Mitchell? Are the Knicks making the right move by extending Barrett? Period. Thoughts?
Yes. I'll let Richard go because I got my little opinions, but I'll let Richard go.
This is my thing. We get so much. I get a lot of heat for like messing and talking trash about the Knicks at times. Jay Will, and I think I had seen it someplace else. Jay Will on First Take today goes, "Do you know this is the first rookie to sign a rookie extension with the Knicks since Charlie Ward in the '90s?" Like, people are always like, the Knick fans are always like, oh, Knick for clicks. People just always, oh, they just want to blah, blah, and they don't. It's like, oh, bro, you guys haven't re-signed one of your draft picks since the 90s. That's almost hard to believe. The Sacramento Kings not making the playoffs for 16 straight years, that's almost easily doable. That's easier done than the Knicks not re-signing a rookie since the 90s. Like, we re-signed 2 the year I got drafted. You got, like, the Knicks re-signed David Lee in your draft. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, no, they didn't re-sign David Lee. They sent him to Golden State.
For 100.
David Lee ends up being a 2-time All-Star. So did they know what they were doing there? No, they didn't. Channing Frye ends up going and being one of the best three-point shooting bigs in NBA history. Didn't know what they were doing there. It's like, but people want to be like, oh, the Knicks. No, your franchise has done stuff that we have not historically seen in professional sports. That being said, I like the signing of R.J. Barrett. Everything else can go as far as I'm concerned. I would ideally like, well, you got Brunson who's there. I like R.J. Barrett, but everybody else is expendable. I'd like the Minnesota really kind of messed things up. Minnesota, when they gave up as much as they did for Rudy Gobert, it set the market at a ridiculous rate. It set the market. Well, if that's what Rudy Gobert is, what's Kevin Durant worth? What's Donovan Mitchell worth? Which would be exponentially more than that. But you're not going to get what you got from Minnesota. Minnesota they overpaid and extended the market to a point of irrationality. So, like, who knows what the Knicks are going to do? Who knows? In my opinion, I'd like the R.J. Barrett. I think he's a good young player, and I'm glad that they finally brought somebody back.
You don't think that Julius Randle is a incremental? Is that the word I'm trying to say? Piece to what they're trying to build.
I think he can be, but I think he needs to be their third best player. I think he needs to be, if you're building a championship team, Julius Randle should be your third best player. He should be your X factor, not your best. Now, and I should always say that in the sense of, like, you need to be building towards a championship. And I think, like, you build Brunson, you bring in that. If you can bring in Donovan Mitchell, right? Whatever you got to do, like Donovan Mitchell shows up. How's Julius Randle going to handle that? This ain't his team. All those crazy threes and running the ball through him, that's not happening anymore. That ball is going to be in Donovan Mitchell and Brunson's hands. That immediately makes him less effective, right? When he's at his most effective, he has the ball in his hands. He's playing, he's dancing, he's doing all this stuff, and he can be a good player, right? But, like, the ball's going to be in Brunson, the ball's going to be in Donovan Mitchell, and it should be in R.J. Barrett's hands. So, like, if that's the way they're going to play, there's not going to be a space for him. So, to me, given Artie, like, a little bit of grumpiness that happened last year, I don't see him being happy being the fourth option with the ball in him.
Yeah.
From going all NBA.
Well, I think it's funny that in none of these trade talks, you have a all-star, you have a guy who had crazy good years, and he's not being talked about at all as being traded. Right? So, okay, that's good. But on the other side, that's bad. Right? Because, and we'll talk about Julius Randle stylistically. I think Julius is the best part of Julius's game is when he has the ball. He has not shown when he gets double teamed or when he has to play off the ball that he can be a all-star type player. Okay? And Richard makes a great point. This is not a knock on him as where he was, or where he's going. It's what I have seen over the years. When he gets double teamed, he is null and void, right? And that's why they paid R.J. Barrett, because R.J. can pass the ball, screen, comes off, shoots a three ball at a good clip, is young, is athletic, and plays the game in a way where it lends itself to his teammates. Julius is a mid-range ISO post one-on-one guy. That does not work in the playoffs. We've seen it. Number two, no offense to R.J. Barrett. I think it's a great gift. I think them putting a price on him, this is how the NBA works. If you have a rookie and he has talent, you need to give him an equal weight in money so that you may get something back eventually of equal weight. When he is just talent, you may get, if he what didn't get paid, you trade him for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell busts or leaves, people go, well, you should have paid RJ and just kept him. You pay him, you make him happy, but you also go to Utah like, hey, here's $130 million, a young guy, we need $130 million back, and it makes sense. It makes sense to the fans. Also, New York has a big problem developing its young guys because not only their turnover in,
to say the least, to say it nicely.
Think about all their turnover between coaches, GMs, presidents, main players, right? Mike Brown and D'Antoni were the two best guys that were there. I think I said Mike Brown, right? Was it Mike Brown or was it? Yes.
Yeah. You said Mike Brown and D'Antoni.
But other than that, who's been their main guy? Melo? They have done a good job of developing R.J. Barrett. Is R.J. Barrett, do you think he's a guy that is going to attract more other A and B list players, or is Donovan Mitchell going to attract A and B list players? Because for New York, they want to be entertained. Yes, you could develop. This is not Oklahoma City. This is not San Antonio. This is not those places that develop their young guys slowly. They want to win now. It's just how it is. New Yorkers want to win now. You get Donovan Mitchell, you're going to win. You're going to make at least eighth in the playoffs.
Get Donovan Mitchell. Like, that's all we keep saying is that there is nobody on. And again, you can give up too much draft picks, in my opinion, because I think if you're going to give up a ton of talent, your team might just be okay, right? So let's say you do make it to the 7th spot, right? Like, maybe, somebody sprains an ankle and you just barely miss out of the playoffs. You never know. So you don't want to give up all of your draft capital. He's not that good. Right. He's not Kevin Durant good. He's not Anthony Davis good. No, but he is fucking very good. He is a potential Hall of Famer good. He's already a 3-time All-Star. Let him start getting up there to that 7, 8, 9-time All-Star. He's that marketable. He's that good. He's that consistent. So, you're talking about trading for a possible future Hall of Famer, right?
Who
that
wants to be
me
there
is what's really on the table.
Tibbs.
And it's a possible. He's 26 years old.
Yeah.
He's 26 years old, and we're talking about a possible future Hall of Famer. That's what, where we're at.
Okay, so obviously the pressure is on, the heat is on. But if the deal doesn't get done, let's kind of wrap up this conversation with this. Where would you like to see Donovan Mitchell land? If it's not in New York, 1, and 2, is there any opportunity that he stays?
I think he'll stay this year because I think the teams that would take him would wait until after the draft and get him at a lower price than what it is. They want a new market. So, I think, to be honest, I think he would be great in San Antonio. Me personally. I think he would be great.
Yeah, but if they just got rid of DeJounte Murray, I think it's because they're going to go on the tanking
to get that French cat. The French cat.
Right? Yeah, if you go, with all due respect, to both those players, I don't think that's getting Donovan Mitchell instead of DeJounte Murray gets you 7
more wins.
You're
is
starting
6th place in the Western Conference, Richard.
I agree, but I don't think
No, you're not trading. That's why I said after the draft.
You know what I'm saying?
Let him play this year out, see what the offers are. If you have Donovan Mitchell, let's say you get
poor Atlanta. They, Well, I actually like DeJounte next to. I like DeJounte
I don't
next
like
to Trae Young.
it. Do you think
Better
DeJounte
than
next
I
to
would like
Trae Young,
Donovan.
if you put him on each other's shoulders, does that equal Giannis or KD? No. Richard.
Would you could he fit in Cleveland
No. I'm not touching. I'm
next to Darius?
not touching
Ooh.
anything about what Cleveland's doing.
Yes, because Darius is
Donovan next to Darius.
Yes, Darius is a playmaker. Darius is a playmaker, and he can shoot. Don't get me wrong. I think that's kind of like Conley. You look at you look at Mike
Conley, the
Conley. Like
actor.
Mike Conley handled the ball. He was the point guard. What? But he handled the ball. He would drop dimes, and then he would let Donovan do his pick and rolls to score. And I think Garland would do the exact same thing. He would drive. He would allow him to score. And when Donovan's just more of a scorer, he can play make. He can play make, but he's more of a scorer. Where I think Darius would be the person tasked with getting. So I think it would work. I don't think that's going to happen. What you would have to give up, you'd have to give up Mobley, or they would ask for something along those lines, and you ain't doing that.
Too
shit.
much of what they need.
Oh.
You ain't giving up Mobley
Charlotte.
for nada.